Good evening. It's Friday, February 14, 2020 here in Cebu City. I'm Cherry Ann Lim, and here's all you need to know in NewsBits tonight. Philippine authorities have lifted the travel ban on Taiwan. Presidential Communications Secretary Martin Andanar announced the lifting of the travel ban on Taiwan, as agreed by the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Diseases.
Of the Resolution Number 5, Series of 2020, dated Feb 14, 2020. Whereas on Feb 11, 2020, travel restrictions were extended to cover Taiwan on the basis that it is being used as a transit port by passengers for mainland China. Whereas the Interagency Task Force for the Management of Emerging Infectious Disease, or IATF, has received communications and information pertaining to strict protocols that Taiwan has established, which enable the Philippines to credibly determine whether any traveler has come from mainland China and its special administrative regions, or SARs. Whereas upon independently verifying the subject protocols, the IATF is convinced that the protocols provide reliable assurance that sufficient measures are in place to effectively prevent potential carriers of the disease from entering or departing Taiwan.
Andanar said travel may now be made by any national to Taiwan from the Philippines and vice versa. The IATF also approves measures to manage the coronavirus situation.
Number 1, travel restrictions imposed upon Taiwan are hereby lifted effective immediately. As for the travel restrictions still in effect with regard to China, Hong Kong, and Macau, the exceptions applicable to Filipino citizens and holders of permanent resident visa shall similarly apply to members of the diplomatic corps, regardless of nationality. The IATF, through the chairperson, shall request the Chinese government to inform the Philippines of protocols being followed by Macau, if any, that prevent potential carriers of COVID-19 from entering or departing such special administrative region, and enable other jurisdictions to determine the recent travel history of any traveler exiting from Macau. Number 4, a technical working group, TWG, is hereby constituted, composed of representatives of the members of the IATF, which shall study and formulate recommendations relative to the application of prevailing travel restrictions to specific classes of travelers. The recommendations of the TWG shall be immediately submitted to the member agencies of the IATF for approval. And number 5, any resolution of the IATF on travel restrictions shall be the subject of regular review. Again, regular review.
The Philippines imposed a temporary travel ban on Taiwan due to the threat of the coronavirus disease. More patients under investigation have tested negative for coronavirus disease, the Department of Health revealed today. Here's Kenneth Torres for the details.
The Department of Health on Friday announced that more patients under investigation have tested negative for the coronavirus disease. DOH Assistant Secretary Maria Rosario Vergeri said that as of 12 noon today, 389 patients under investigation have tested negative for the COVID-19, and the Health Department is waiting test results for other 66 patients. Vergeri added that 191 patients remain admitted and isolated in hospitals in the country, while 260 were already discharged, including 2 confirmed cases of the new virus. However, she said that despite the fact that more patients have tested negative for the contagious disease, the DOH continues its preparation for the possibility of local transmission. In Cebu, 21 quarantined Filipino passengers from Taiwan were sent home after complaining about the state of the quarantine facility in Barangay Apas. Mactan Cebu International Airport General Manager Steve Dikdikan said the passengers from Davao City and some parts of Mindanao have already left Cebu last night. Cebu Governor Gwendolyn Garcia said they are better off living instead of constantly complaining about the state of the facility. Kenneth Torres, NewsBits.
The Department of Agriculture is considering rabbit meat as an alternative to pork amid the African swine fever outbreak in the country. Here's Nico Tubo for the details.
The Department of Agriculture is considering rabbit meat as an alternative to pork as the number of hogs culled continue to rise due to the African swine fever outbreak in the country. Some 200,000 hogs have been culled due to the disease. Agriculture Secretary William Dar said this is just 1.7% of the total swine inventory, estimated at 12.8 million heads. However, Dar said they are in talks with the rabbit meat industry as they look for potential alternative to pork. DA Central Visayas Director Salvador Diputado said they will still conduct a feasibility study on the commercial viability of the rabbit meat. In Cebu, architect and entrepreneur Daryl Garcia and her husband Jose opened Bani Chow in September 2019. It is a startup business located at the market in Mandawi City that sells rabbit meat cooked in traditional Filipino dishes. Rabbit meat is known for its high protein content. A 3-ounce serving of its meat contains 28 grams of protein. It is also a source of iron. A serving contains more than 4 milligrams of iron. Calories in rabbit meat are also low. A serving only contains 147 calories. Nico Tubo, NewsBits Tonight.
As a way to celebrate Valentine's Day, 3 cities in Metro Cebu spread love by giving gifts to the public. Here's Ryan Talio for the details.
The cities of Lapu-Lapu, Cebu, and Mandaue brought joy to the public by giving gifts as their way of celebrating the Valentine's Day. The Highway Patrol Group in Central Visayas gave flowers and chocolates to motorists plying the streets of Cebu City. HPG Provincial Chief Michael Gingoyon said the role of an officer is not only limited to reprimanding its citizens, but to also spread joy everywhere. Personnel from Mandaue City Police Office also handed out packs of rice to the elderly and street cleaners in the city as their way of expressing gratitude on Valentine's Day. The Department of General Services of Mandaue City has also transformed the Mandaue City Hall parking lot into a love land where vendors could sell flowers and other gifts. Meanwhile, the Lapu-Lapu City Hall opens its doors today with Valentine's, wedding, and Harana booths as well as stores selling chocolates and flowers. Ryan Talio, NewsBits Tonight.
For the latest in sports, here's Kenneth Torres.
The Toronto Raptors snapped its 15-game winning streak with a 101-91 loss to Brooklyn Nets in the National Basketball Association on Thursday morning. The reigning NBA champions hold a 40-15 win-loss record despite losing Kawhi Leonard last summer and battling injuries all season. Caris LeVert scored 20 points for the Nets. Joe Harris added 19 points, while Spencer Dinwiddie tallied 17 points and 9 assists, all for the Nets. Meanwhile, Serge Ibaka fired 28 points and 9 rebounds for the Raptors after returning from a 1-game absence with flu-like symptoms. Fred VanVleet contributed 22 points and Kyle Lowry added 12 points, 12 assists, and 11 rebounds. The Raptors will face Phoenix Suns on February 22, while the Nets will take a showdown against Philadelphia 76ers on February 21. Kenneth Torres, NewsBits Tonight.
To get the latest, visit www.sunstar.com.ph. Follow us on our YouTube channel and official social media accounts on Twitter and Facebook. I'm Cherry Ann Lim. Good evening.